My name is Pugay, and I am an artist, mainly a painter, based in Portland, Oregon, and originally from the Philippines. And I am here at Crow for an artist residency. I was drawing these without necessarily knowing what they would be for, but I just was drawing things to loosen up a little bit. Yeah, a lot of them are like really gestural, a lot of arms that are flailing, there's a lot of movement and like a lot of stretching, and a lot of like exaggerating proportions. When I first came to Crow Shadow, given this, like I was living in a space that didn't really have a lot of like open spaces, but having this gallery over here, having that open space, like the first couple of days I was just moving around and like laying on the floor and stretching and just, yeah, doing a lot of weird stuff. And so I just decided that, oh, like maybe I'll make drawings of that. Drawings of figures that are doing weird things with their bodies in space. And so it started off a series of these sketches that then made it into these situations. So like I said, it's like the figures came in first and then the environments came in later. It was fun to like kind of think about what these figures would be doing if they weren't just stretching or like moving their body in space, and what kind of situations they might be in. Each figure would be done on a single surface, and then they would, I would try to figure out what they would be about. So in this case, these two figures were paired together. They were separate drawings that we decided that we would put on one surface, and then a situation came up where they would be playing basketball. And usually with my work, the environment comes first, and then the situation with the figures comes in later. But this whole experience kind of like twisted that on its head a little bit, where the figures started out first, and then the situation came up next. In my work, like it's very situational in nature, and I think that there's a lot of that leads to absurdity. But in this case, it's like it feels like I wasn't, like, because I didn't know what the situation was or like what the process would be exactly. It felt like it was good to start off somewhere simple, which is the figure. And so in this case, I feel like the way that I was thinking about it was that the pieces wouldn't necessarily be contingent on a specific situation, but really like thinking about the figures as character studies. Yeah, these are the monoprints of a group of contortionists in landscapes. This is the first time that it's like I'm going wild with colors on this figure. It's just like seeing the palette that they have of colors that have been used by other artists in the past that you can use. That's been really fun, just like trying to figure out how to make these figures look really wild and yeah, giving them some colors that might be a reflection of the landscape that they're in without really knowing what that landscape might be yet, but just like really thinking about formal qualities, thinking about the tonality of the skin, thinking about the shadows, the highlights, and then allowing that to kind of like determine what the landscapes might be. I started out with a lot of greens, but also a lot of purples. Every time after we would work here in the studio, I would just kind of like go outside and like lay on the picnic table, and then just seeing the range of colors that the sky has during the sunset has been really nice, and like seeing the horizon too, like seeing how open it is has been, I think, really inspiring. Another thing that I really like about the print process is I've noticed that because the paint feels like, or the ink has a life of its own, you just never ever know when you're going to get a texture or when a mark might be more fluid. So like thinking about this, for example, I love seeing that because like when I painted it, I didn't even know that it would be on the surface. And I like seeing it contrast, like the different contrasts that happen across the different shapes on the surfaces. I was trying to figure out how to render extreme perspective without having a representational source to draw from. So like the figures would just end up looking really clunky. Like I loved seeing this leg like come out onto, like it looks like it's coming out forward, and then having the feet recede a little bit, it makes it feel like there's a lens on the figure that might be contorted too. And I want to experiment with that a little bit more when I go home. I think it gives the figures a different life. Like I love looking at these together because it feels like, oh yeah, like they're different pockets of a cabinet. But yeah, like I was trying out different things. We started out with the grease pencil, and that felt very slow of a process, and it was making me feel a little bit tight. It was like a lot of trial and error, just a lot of producing different things that might work or might not work, or might be included in something or might be tossed out. But I'm just like using drawing and rendering as a way to think, I guess, and then just trying to figure out how different ways of processing and thinking kind of like come together, and then hoping for the best. It's what the process has been. And yeah, like I think that there's something really worthwhile in just allowing yourself to go through that adventure. And Judy's been really great in terms of like guiding me through that adventure, I think, and allowing me to understand like what is doable and what is not, and like how much something takes in terms of time, and like what is open to experimentation. So yeah, I appreciated that a lot. It made things feel, it made me understand what would be possible.